Students are always asking us how to write a successful law school personal statement that will stand out from all the other statements. It can be hard for them to recognize an okay or good statement from an excellent one. So today I'm going to go through 2 examples of excellent, successful statements. After that, we'll dive further into the statements and discuss what makes them strong and how that ultimately led to the student being accepted into law school. Hi, I'm Nadine Evans with BMO Academic Consulting. Before we begin with our examples, please subscribe on whatever social media channel you're watching this from so that you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. If you'd like us to help you with your law school application, click on the link either above or below this video to schedule your free initial consultation. So let's begin with our law school personal statement, example number 1. This student wrote, "When I was a child, my neighbors who had arrived in America from Nepal often seemed stressed. They argued a lot, struggled for money, and seemed to work all hours of the day. One day, I woke early in the morning to a commotion outside of my apartment. Police officers were accompanying my neighbors out of the building. They were being deported. In my teens, I was shocked to see that our kind, friendly neighbors had exhausted their last chance to stay in America as they lost a court appeal. Since that time, I have worked closely with the many immigrant families in my neighborhood and now university town. I began by volunteering at a local community center. Together with social workers, I served food and gave out clothes to new arrivals. My diligent work ethic led to more responsibility, and I received training in basic counseling techniques, first aid skills, and community services. Soon, I was tasked with welcoming new community members and assessing their health and social needs. I heard the many difficult stories of those who had traveled thousands of miles, often through several countries, risking everything to reach a safe, welcoming country. I was proud to contribute in some small way to making America welcoming for these individuals. The community center is where I had my first formal contact with legal aid lawyers, who were a constant source of knowledge and support for those who needed assistance. I was struck by the lawyers' ability to explain complex legal processes to nervous and exhausted incomers. Law, I realized, was about more than procedure. I decided that I, too, would strive to balance a wealth of technical knowledge with my caring, compassionate personality. As soon as I enrolled in university, I knew I had the chance to do so. In my very first week, I signed up to volunteer at the university's Legal Aid Center, where I worked closely with law professors and students on a range of cases. Academically, I have focused on courses, such as 4th-year ethics seminar, that would help me develop rigorous critical reasoning skills. More importantly, I knew that given my experience, I could be a leader on campus. I decided to found a refugee campaign group. Together with a group of volunteers, we campaigned to make our campus a refugee-friendly space. I organized a series of events, international student mixers, an art installation in our student commons, and concerts that raised over $5,000 for a local charity. I am proud to say that my contributions were recognized with a university medal for campus leadership. I have seen time and time again how immigrants to the United States struggle with bureaucracy, with complex legal procedures, and with the demands of living in a foreign and sometimes hostile climate. As I plan to enter law school, I look back to my neighbors' experiences. They needed someone who knew the law, who could negotiate with the authorities on their behalf, who could inform them of their rights, but they also needed someone who would provide a caring and compassionate outlet for their stresses. I know the university's combination of academic rigor, legal aid services, and history of graduates entering labor and nonprofit sectors will allow me to develop these skills and continue making contributions to my community by advocating for those in need. So that is a wonderful law school personal statement. And one of the reasons it was very successful is because it focuses on just one theme, justice for immigrants. Every single paragraph is designed to show how the student is enthusiastic and passionate about this area. Another great thing about the statement is that it's interesting and catchy. Law school personal statements often begin with a personal anecdote, and this one was short, memorable, and relevant, and it allows the reader to understand the overall theme of the statement right from the beginning. What I really like about this statement is that it shows rather than tells. Instead of the applicant saying that they are committed to law, they describe specific cases they were involved in which demonstrated a genuine dedication to a career in law. Demonstrating confidence in a personal statement without coming across as being boastful can be difficult, but this student did it perfectly. They mentioned their leadership qualities, successful events, and an award, but they were mentioned in context instead of a list that doesn't blend nicely into the overall story. Lastly, the conclusion is strong, and as the reader, you feel that they are suitable for the school they are applying to and are satisfied with their future career plans. Okay, so let's look at one more example of a successful law school personal statement. The student wrote this: "In my home community, the belief is that law is against us. The law oppresses and victimizes. I must admit that as a child and young person, I had this opinion based on my environment and the conversations around me. I did not understand that the law could be a vehicle for social change, and I certainly did not imagine I had the ability and talent to be a voice for this change. I regularly attended my high school classes because I enjoyed the discussions and reading for English and history, and writing came easily to me, but I wasn't committed to getting good grades because I felt I had no purpose. My mindset changed as I spent time with a law student who agreed to mentor and tutor me as part of a high school to law school mentorship program. Every week for 3 years, he and I would meet. At first he tutored me, but I quickly became an A student, not only because of the tutoring, but because my ambitions were uncorked by what he shared with me about university, the law, and his life. I learned grades were the currency I needed to succeed. I attended mock trials, court hearings, and law lectures with him and developed a fresh understanding of the law that piqued an interest in law school. My outlook has changed because my mentor, my teachers, and my self-advocacy facilitated my growth. Still, injustices do occur. The difference is that I now believe that law can be an instrument for social change, but voices like mine must give direction to policy and resources in order to fight those injustices. Early in my mentorship, I realized it was necessary to be in the world differently if I were to truly consider a law career. With my mentor's help and the support of my high school teachers, I learned to advocate for myself and explore opportunities that would expand my worldview as well as my academic skills. I joined a Model UN club at a neighboring high school because my own high school did not have enough student interest to have a club. By discussing global issues and writing decisions, I began to feel powerful and confident with my ability to gather evidence and make meaningful decisions about real global issues. As I built my leadership, writing, and public speaking skills, I noticed a rift developing with some of my friends. I wanted them to begin to think about larger, systemic issues outside of our immediate experience, as I was learning to, and to build confidence in new ways. I petitioned my school to start a Model UN club and recruited enough students to populate the club. My friends did not join the club as I'd hoped, but before I graduated, we had 2 successful years with the students who did join. I began to understand that I cannot force change based on my own mandate, but I must listen attentively to the needs and desires of others in order to support them as they require. While I learned to advocate for myself throughout high school, I also learned to advocate for others. My neighbors, knowing my desire to be a lawyer, would often ask me to advocate on their behalf with small grievances. I would make phone calls, stand in line with them at government offices, and deal with difficult landlords. Once, a neighbor asked me to review her rental agreement to help her understand why her landlord had rented it to someone else rather than renewing her lease. I scoured the rental agreement, highlighting questionable sections, read the Residential Tenancies Act, and developed a strategy for approaching the landlord. My neighbor and I sat down with the landlord, and upon seeing my binder, complete with indices, he quickly conceded before I could even speak. That day, I understood evidence is the way to justice. My interest in justice grew, and while in university, I sought experiences to solidify my decision to pursue law. Last summer, I had the good fortune to work as a summer intern in a Crown Attorney's office responsible for criminal trial prosecutions. As the only pre-law intern, I was given tasks such as reviewing court tapes, verifying documents, and creating binders with indices. I often went to court with the prosecutors where I learned a great deal about legal proceedings and was at times horrified by human behavior. This made the atmosphere in the Crown Attorney's office even more surprising. I worked with happy and passionate lawyers whose motivations were public service, the safety and well-being of communities, and justice. The moment I realized justice was their true objective, not the number of convictions, was the moment I decided to become a lawyer. I broke from the belief system I was born into. I did this through education, mentorship, and self-advocacy. There is sadness because in this transition, I left people behind, especially as I entered university. However, I am devoted to my home community. I understand the barriers that stand between youth and their success. As a law student, I will mentor as I was mentored, and as a lawyer, I will be a voice for change. Okay, so this is another powerful law school personal statement. Again, we are taken on a fascinating journey through the applicant's life in chronological order. It's very well organized and thought out and explains how they first developed an interest in law and how they got to where they are today. It's good to note that this journey doesn't begin with the student's immediate desire to be a lawyer. In fact, it's quite the opposite. But through concrete examples, we see the shift in the applicant's mindset. The applicant is able to show their determination, leadership skills, and advocacy for law by using specific examples, such as helping a neighbor with a rental contract and joining a Model UN club. This statement really does an excellent job of showing instead of telling, and because of that, the reader feels that the applicant is very suitable for the position. Okay, so some important things to think about. Hopefully you found this video and the examples provided helpful, so please subscribe, like, and leave a comment if you have any questions. If you want your personal statement and law school application in general to really stand out, then click on the link either above or below this video to schedule your free initial consultation. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.